So I thought it might be fun just to talk a little bit about fantasy book covers and what I like on them and what I don't and what's changed through the decades. In my opinion, often for the worse, but we'll discuss maybe some counterexamples too. And we're just recording this on my phone, so excuse the very guerrilla style photography. But anyway, I was just thinking about this because I've been reading the Eye of the World books, and I know that these covers are often kind of criticized by some fans of the books and have been for some time by being a little bit on the cheesy side, but I gotta say I absolutely love the old school cheesy style fantasy cover art. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anytime I see it on a bookshelf in a store, it just grabs my attention, and that's why it makes me a little bit bummed out that it seems like we've been kind of slowly sliding towards a somewhat more minimalist style lately. Like I know there was at least one kind of printing after this that did some simpler artwork, but then I've seen the latest printing kind of on sale on Amazon when I was looking at maybe buying the whole series, and it basically just reduced everything to a symbol. And I don't know, I'm just going to say it flat out. I am firmly of the belief that newfangled kind of ultra minimalist style exists for the sole and explicit purpose of reading books like this without being embarrassed for people who read them at work, at school, on the bus, on the subway, around their in-laws, or around, at the gym, whatever. It exists to not be embarrassing, but, I kind of want to be embarrassed by my high fantasy addiction, I kind of want to embrace the embarrassment. I want to embrace the shame. I love this shit so much. Just the bold, how it fills every bit of the frame, just the bold colors of it. But let's not just look at these. Let's discuss. Before we go into the good, let's maybe discuss some more of this kind of mixed, this minimalist style. One series, and keep in mind that this isn't a criticism of the books itself, but just the fantasy, the cover art. Joe Abercrombie's First Law books also have an obviously very minimalist style, usually just like some parchment, some blood on them. You can see this copy here. I've actually printed out a map from the internet, which the books don't actually have, and put it in myself, and it's really in there. I can't remember if I glued it in or something. I think I must have, because it's pretty well stuck, but it works okay for the First Law trilogy itself. But then for the next trilogy, the standalones, these versions I have at least kind of have like photographs of people on them, and I don't know, it's missing a little bit something for me. I would prefer something a little bit more artistry to it. And then the next trilogy after that, the one that just came out, the Age of Madness trilogy, I think they kind of scaled. They have like these. It's very minimalist. It doesn't entirely eschew all fantasy trappings. Have like some armor on it, or I think one of the other ones there's like an axe or a sword or something. But I don't know. They had different cover art in I think the UK, I guess. There was a little bit more, looked like kind of French Revolution themed, that I liked a little bit more. One of the first times I remember really seeing this minimalist style replacing an older style is with the Song of Ice and Fire books. I think I got this books well before the TV series Game of Thrones was out. This is maybe like 2005 I got these ones. They're all in a really similar style, and it's alright for this. I guess this kind of like very political, grimdarky type fantasy. It doesn't bother me too much to not have the cheesy old school artwork, although let's be frank, I would prefer the cheesy old school artwork because I love that kind of stuff. There's kind of an in-between sort of style you might see sometimes, like with Lions of Al-Rasan, I have this copy here, or this copy of The Hobbit I have, where it has like a slash of artwork across kind of a more single color background, and I think that's okay. I do like that. I think it has it's ever so slightly more tasteful than the full-blown sort of style I showed with the Wheel of Time books, where the ultra cheesy artwork with the comic booky looking people are filling up the whole frame. But it's all right. I can kind of live with this style as long as it's not too ugly. I have like these copies of the Lord of the Rings trilogy that I think are a little bit, I don't know, they look a little ridiculous to me. Something about the people on them isn't right. I'd still take this over the one that has the movie poster. And, it says based on a major motion picture. For some reason, I was shopping for like a copy of Dune online. I have one, but it's like kind of falling apart. It's so old. But all the ones I have, Timothy Chalamet's face and based on a major motion picture on thrift books and Amazon. I'm like, I don't want that. But I'm not just stuck to the past. Like, I don't just want the original art. For example, I'll show off. Here's an example of kind of the cheesy cover art. This is something I love. I love this copy of the first Dragonlance book. I just love this. And to show that I'm not just stuck in the past, I will say that I actually prefer this to the original, arguably more iconic design that had the dragon behind them. For no other reason than I just think the art's a little bit better. I think that's this perfect Dungeons and Dragons art. I love when it wraps around the back. It's just that's so cool. I love the look of that. And as a counterexample, here I showed a case where I have the newer art that I actually like better. I'll show I have this copy of the Dark Elf Trilogy by R.A. Salvatore, and I think it's super hideous. I don't understand why the Dark Elf is portrayed as he looks like an old man when Driz is supposed to be actually kind of young in these books, and bumpy and blue and ugly. It's terrible. I'll throw up an image of the newer versions of these art they've made that I actually think are way better. I actually strongly prefer these new designs for the artwork. I think they blow this one out of the water. So I'm not always stuck in the past, and you can kind of see that similar to the Dragonlance design. This was kind of like almost a kind of an iconic way to design anything Dungeons and Dragons book cover themed back in the day. Was like just having your heroes basically pose like they're posing for a photograph, for a photographer that's not there because photography hasn't been invented yet in this world. But it's a style I like. I mean, yeah, this kind of thing, it appeals to me. It appeals to the fantasy lover in me. And I just show some other ones I like. I got this nice little Malazan, Book of the Fallen. Yeah, it captures a little bit of darkness. And, not even a giant fan of the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, but yeah, look, that's nice art. That's nice art. It evokes something in you. It evokes something. One author who I think has definitely been doing a good job sort of maintaining the good old school cheesy, filling up the whole frame, colorful fantasy artwork is Brandon Sanderson with most of his books. Granted, there's so many fucking Brandon Sanderson books that I haven't seen all of them. I can't speak to all of them, but I do love most of the ones I have. The great color work, just great characters. They always fill up the whole scene. It seems like they wrap around to the back. That's beautiful stuff. This beautiful stuff. I'm such a fan of this style of fantasy cover, and it makes me sad when I go through a bookstore and I just see very minimalist covers that just don't have much on them. They just usually have like a symbol or like a close-up of a sword or something like that, and I'm like, come on. Here's a book I never even read. I just saw it at the store, and I was so immediately grabbed by the cover that I had to get it. That's what a slut I am for beautiful fantasy cover art with these sort of like great color work and fills the whole scene, wonderful imagery, interesting settings. I see that in a store and I judge a book by its cover. I straight up do. I gotta have it. I see something like that, I'm like, I must read. I want to know. I love it. I love this shit. Yeah, Abercrombie, stuff can be a little too minimalist for my taste, I'm not saying it's ugly, I'm not saying the design is bad, but it's just I would just like a little bit more color on there would always be my idea, a little bit more imagery, a little bit more of a sense of setting, And I got hundreds of books. I could go, this is a little too much on the minimalist side for me. Such an interesting setting. Why don't you show more? Why don't you think a little more outside the box than this, I like the Bloods. This is a really good book. This is a book I like very much. Like I said with the Joe Abercrombie books, this kind of more minimalist works a little bit better when it's kind of a grimmer story like this with a little bit bloodier, more political, not so much magic focused. I can accept it a little more when you have that kind of thing, but I like, let's see, what else have I got? I like, here's more Dragonlance type setting. I love this stuff. It's so great. It's so great. I love it. You think fantasy. You see it, it's just fantasy. The Alana books I have, I don't know if these are actually the original covers. I think there's some more, almost more cartoonish, Saturday morning cartoon looking ones, but I do, that's good cover art. I really like that. And this is kind of I mean, it does make you think dwarves, and no one's going to deny that, but this book takes place in a very kind of Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Ring-ish world with castles and magic and wizards and grand cities and elves and stuff, so, you know, I feel like they maybe could have done something a little more colorful, but you do think dwarves when you see it. I won't deny that. But anyway, I have so damn many fantasy books that we could look at this stuff forever, and I do find it interesting. I'm not an art critic, obviously, by any stretch of the imagination, but, this is the kind of thing I like. The colors, the characters, fantasy cheesiness, horses, that kind of thing, that's art. And this has a nice mythological feel to it. That can work sometimes, too, but... yeah, I don't have much more to say than that, except that, I hope that, much as I do like the Song of Ice and Fire, I don't want this to be like the future for fantasy book covers, and certainly not this Wheel of Time. It was really that Wheel of Time thing that inspired this whole rant, whatever you might call it, because I was hoping I could go on Amazon and order all of the Wheel of Time books. Just kind of like, in this style. That's what I really wanted. Just in this style. The original printings. I don't care if people think they're cheesy or that some of the characters look a little too short, maybe. This is what I wanted. But the only, 15-book set I could order was the one with the symbol on it. And I'm just kind of looking at it like, I don't want that. I'm not embarrassed to be reading these in public. I want, actually I am embarrassed. I like the shame. I'm sadomasochistic. I want people to look at me and be like, is that a almost 40-year-old man reading fantasy books about wizards and orcs and magic and mystical kingdoms for children? And I want to look at them in the eye and be like, yes. Yes, it is. Fuck you.